History is often written by the victors. To many Muslims, the Islamic conquests of the 7th and 8th centuries are seen as divinely sanctioned events, spreading the light of Islam across vast territories. Proponents argue these expansions were not mere imperial conquests, but rather a fulfillment of a divine mandate to spread the true faith. They point to the Quranic verse in Surah Al-Anfal, verse 39, which calls for fighting until there is no more persecution and religion is wholly for Allah. Additionally, Hadith literature, including Sahih Bukhari, records the Prophet Muhammad's directives for spreading Islam, often interpreted as a call for both spiritual and territorial expansion. Concrete evidence from Islamic history illustrates the rapid expansion. Between 632 and 750 CE, the Islamic caliphates expanded from the Arabian Peninsula to cover parts of Asia, Africa, and Europe. By 750 CE, the Umayyad Caliphate controlled over 11 million square kilometers, encompassing a multitude of cultures and languages. This expansion is often portrayed as a largely peaceful process, where local populations welcomed Islamic rule due to its promise of lower taxes and greater social justice compared to Byzantine and Sasanian regimes. The prominent historian Hugh Kennedy, in his book The Great Arab Conquests, argues that early Islamic rule was relatively tolerant, allowing Christians and Jews to practice their religions, albeit as dhimmis with certain restrictions. However, examining the counter-arguments reveals a more complex picture. Critics argue that the Islamic conquests were as much about power and territory as any other empire-building endeavor. Historical records, such as letters from contemporary Byzantine and Persian leaders, describe the invasions as violent and coercive. The Battle of Yarmouk in 636 CE and the Siege of Constantinople in 717 CE were not peaceful transitions but brutal confrontations resulting in significant loss of life. One strong counter-argument is the notion that the spread of Islam cannot be compared to later colonial conquests due to its religious nature. This view holds that the conquests were inherently just because they aimed at spreading the true faith. However, this perspective is challenged by the fact that many regions under Islamic rule were not converted to Islam for centuries. In Egypt, for example, it took over 400 years for Muslims to become the majority. This gradual conversion process suggests that the initial conquests were more politically motivated than religiously. A critical examination of Islamic jurisprudence also raises questions about the nature of these conquests. Sharia law, derived from the Quran and Hadith, includes rules on warfare and the treatment of non-Muslims. While it prescribes protection for people of the book, it also imposes jizya, a tax on non-Muslims, which could be interpreted as a tool for economic pressure towards conversion. This economic dimension is often overlooked in discussions that frame the conquests purely in spiritual terms. The human rights implications of these historical events are significant. The notion of spreading religion through conquest clashes with modern principles of religious freedom and self-determination. The 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights, for instance, enshrines the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, including the freedom to change one's religion. The historical use of force to spread Islam raises ethical questions about the compatibility of these actions with contemporary human rights standards. Dismantling the strongest counter-argument requires examining the broader historical context. While it's true that other empires engaged in similar practices, the unique claim of divine justification for Islamic conquests sets them apart. This claim, if accepted without scrutiny, risks endorsing a form of historical revisionism that overlooks the complexities and human suffering involved. The idea that these conquests were divinely mandated and inherently just is undermined by the evidence of coercion, economic pressure, and delayed religious conversions. In conclusion, while the Islamic conquests were undoubtedly significant in shaping the world, the claim that they were purely acts of divine justice does not hold up under scrutiny. The historical evidence points to a mix of religious, political, and economic motivations, much like other empires. Thus, the narrative of a divinely sanctioned, purely benevolent expansion is, at best, an oversimplification and, at worst, a case of historical revisionism. Are divine mandates relevant in historical conquest today?